Hello everybody, welcome to another review of GizChina Germany. My name is Christopher. Today we are having a look at the Pipo X7S, which actually is the second TV box published by Pipo. The first one was the Pipo X7 and it had a few flaws, like for example an unlicensed copy of Windows. Now with the X7S they fixed that, plus they also introduced a dual boot feature. So this TV box actually comes with the Intel Z3736F quad-core x86 SoC, which is a 64-bit tablet SoC, fully compatible with the PC architecture, which means it is running a full copy or a full-blown version of Windows 8.1, and it also runs Android 4.4.4 KitKat. Besides of that, it comes with 2 GB of RAM and 32 GB of internal memory, and there also is a 64 GB version available, and it comes in a silver, black or gold version. I have the silver version with 32 GB of memory here. What you see in front of the camera is the packaging of the Pipo X7S. As you can see, we have a little picture of the TV box on it, the imprint Windows TV box, and some specs like Android, Windows, and an Intel SoC inside. And when we turn the box around, we see the rear, which has a little spec sheet in multiple languages on it. Inside this box you get the TV box itself, a power supply, a warranty card, and that's it. Nothing more, no user manual, no HDMI cable. So to fire this thing up you actually need to buy an HDMI cable, and you also need a keyboard and a mouse, preferably hooked up to the machine through USB. So let's have a look at the device itself now, and this is how it looks. This is the Pipo X7S. As you can see, it's pretty small. It's just like 1.5 to 2 centimeters in height, and if I lay my hand on it, you see it's not a lot larger than my hand actually, so it's a pretty compact little box. Looks pretty good, pretty sturdy, the aluminum is fairly thick, but the build quality could be a little bit better at some parts. For example, the power button here is a little bit loose, and the protection plate for the electronics on the bottom doesn't fit perfectly, as you can see here, but actually you don't notice that when the box stands on the table, so it's not that bad. And also let's consider the fact that we are at 120 bucks here, so this thing is pretty cheap, cheaper than most other Windows powered TV boxes, so I think it's still acceptable. As you can see, we have a little Pipo logo on the top, nothing besides that. On the front we have the on-off switch, one power indicator which lights up in red, 2 USB 2.0 ports, one 3.5mm headphone jack. On the right and the left side we have small vents here, as well as on the bottom of the machine, and on the rear we have a 100 Mbit Ethernet port, the power inlet, the HDMI port, 2 more USB 2.0 ports, and 1 OTG port, as well as a microSD card reader. And we also have an access status LED for the SD card reader here. And what you can see here is the external Wi-Fi antenna of the machine, which can be turned into any direction you want it, and which provides a really good reception quality. So let me hook up the Pipo X7S to my monitor and all the other peripherals here, and let's see how it runs. So I hooked the Pipo X7S up now and pressing the power button right now, and the machine turns on, and the first thing you're gonna see is the Pipo logo. Boom, here we go. And the next thing that pops up is the bootloader, where you can choose which operating system you wanna boot, either Android or Windows 8.1. Now let me tell you, I won't show you Android because I've deleted it from the Pipo X7S. Now a reason for that, first of all, is that the memory of 32 GB simply isn't enough for 2 operating systems. On here you only get about 4 GB of free memory for Android and about 8 GB for Windows, which really isn't enough. So I deleted that and increased the size of the Windows partition so I can make use of the full memory inside of there. And another reason I deleted Android is because it's simply useless. Pipo doesn't pre-install the Google Play services on the Pipo X7S, which means that the Android operating system on there is pretty much useless if you need those Play services. You can't use YouTube and all that stuff, so well, it sucks, so I deleted it, and went for Windows, which anyway I need the most on this machine. So let's fire it up. And as you can see, now it's booting. And this goes fairly fast. So here you see booting process already done. Now it's loading the UI, logging into my Microsoft account, and here we go. There's the start menu. Now, as you can see already here, the whole thing is running very smooth, no lags here already, so that's pretty usable for a tablet SoC going inside. So let's switch to the desktop mode, and as you can see, we have a full-blown desktop going on here, like on a real PC, and it's all pretty snappy also here in the Windows Explorer. And as you can see, I have around 99 GB of free memory on Windows right now, and I have installed pretty much everything I need on here right now. Microsoft Office, Chrome browser, all that stuff I need. And well, I still have plenty of free memory, and in case I need more for my files, I also have a 32 GB micro SD card going on inside of there. So let's switch to system info, and here you can see again some of the specs: 2 GB of RAM, the Intel Atom Z3736F SoC, which has a base clock of 1.33 GHz and can turbo boost up to 2.16 GHz, and the Windows version on here is a 32-bit OS, and it's actually Windows 8.1 with Bing that comes with a free 1 year of Office 365 Personal, so you don't need to pay for an Office license, at least not for the first year. And as you can see, Windows is activated properly. So what's for the performance? Well, let's fire up some applications. First of all, I want to fire up Google Chrome and show you some of the browsing performance. So let me open up GizChina.com, for example, just to see how it loads. This site is pretty big, with lots of pictures and banners and stuff going on. And as you can see, it takes a little bit longer than with a standard PC, but that's pretty much normal for a tablet SoC, but it's still very acceptable. And as you can see, if I scroll here, it's all very smooth. Everything is working like a charm here. So let's fire up some other website, youtube.com, for example. And let's play some web video and see how that goes. Well, what do we have here? Some random video here. As you can see, it's slightly sluggish here, but that's all the content on here. But the video plays fine. Not really a problem. Let me increase the resolution to 1080p and let's go full screen. As you can see, this is running smooth as well, so absolutely no issues here. So multimedia playback on the web really is no problem. So while this video is playing, let's fire up another application, Excel, for example, and let's open up some demo spreadsheet or some template that's available. What do we have? Budget with trends here, create. So now it loads the template, and here we go. It already opened. I can scroll, it's smooth. Open up the chart settings, no problem as well. Clicking through the ribbon menu, also no problem. So as you can see, Office is working like a charm as well. So for basic Office use, this really is more than sufficient and probably more effective than a full-blown Office PC. Just let's compare the energy consumption. The Pipo X7S needs about 2 watts for idle mode and about 8 to 13 watts in case you load it up with tasks. And compared to a standard PC, this is almost nothing, because a standard PC can take between 100 to 800 watts or even more depending on which specs it has. So obviously for simple Office use, watching videos, listening to music, doing blogging, the Pipo X7S really is enough in my opinion. And well, that's what I use it for. I do Office on it, I do blogging on it, and I also use it as a flash box for phones. As you can see, the video here is still running, so let's close that again. The 2 GB of RAM also are sufficient for running multiple apps at a time. You of course get forced closes of the Metro or Modern UI applications of Windows 8.1 when you run them in the background and have some desktop applications running as well. But that's probably something you're used to from Windows tablets. But well, let's face it, you're gonna mostly use desktop applications on this one, and well, those don't force close. Let's get straight with that. The Pipo X7S has a few downsides though, and the biggest of them is probably the temperature of the hardware. Now the Pipo X7 already had some overheating issues, or not really overheating issues, but it didn't come with a proper heatsink inside, and unfortunately Pipo didn't learn from that mistake, and the Pipo X7S also has a few cooling issues. So let me get that straight, it doesn't really overheat, but it gets too hot. It's running a few minutes now and we already are at 56 degrees as for the die temperature, and the core temperature is already close to 70 degrees. And once it hits 80 degrees, it will disable Turbo Boost, which means that you will get less performance out of this machine. You really notice that, and that's pretty sad. Now the issue is that Pipo did use a heat spreading foil on the SoC and the RAM chips on the main board, and no real heatsink. And this heat spreading foil doesn't really spread or take heat away from the SoC. It doesn't really work well. What you need on there is a proper heatsink made from aluminum or copper, and that's something you can easily hack inside of there. There's plenty of space available for this. Go and get some cheap heatsink from the internet. You get those on Amazon or eBay for just a few bucks. It really isn't expensive. Get yourself some thermal adhesive and stick them up to the SoC. Remove the heat spreading foil, of course, before that, and boom, once you did that, you get a proper cooling and won't run into issues with the temperature anymore, resulting in a much more performant mini PC. Another issue is that Pipo actually is advertising the X7S to be a TV box. But obviously it isn't much of a TV box, it really is more of a office mini PC, simply because of the fact that a PC box would need some kind of television optimized user interface and obviously a remote, because you don't want to use a USB keyboard or mouse or Bluetooth keyboard or mouse in your living room when you hooked it up to the television. And well, it doesn't come with an infrared port for a remote, it doesn't come with a remote, and it doesn't have any special user interface. So you can actually run applications like Kodi, which is a media center interface. Previously this was called XBMC. It's working like a charm. I just fired that up now. But well, it's not really useful without a remote control. You of course can buy some Bluetooth remote control, but I think you will have some issues pairing that with the device without a mouse or keyboard. So well, it's not really a TV box, period. But besides of that, it does a pretty good job, and regarding the audio quality inside of there, I'm also pretty much satisfied. If you had Intel devices previously, probably a tablet or other TV boxes, you know those chipsets have a pretty good audio chipset inside, and well, that's the case here as well. It sounds very good, and no background noises or all that stuff you don't want to have. The only thing I have to complain about here is that we don't have an optical audio output, which would enable surround sound and all that stuff. And something they also could have done better is to place the headphone jack on the rear of the device. I don't like it on the front, but that's probably a thing of taste. So what's my verdict about the Pipo X7S? Well, for 120 bucks, this is a pretty bargain deal, I think. It's a pretty powerful little office PC, lots of USB ports that are really useful. It comes with a free office subscription. I mean, that's pretty nice as well. And well, I like it. It's pretty useful, but obviously they should have got the heatsink stuff straight. Not everyone wants to screw around with the insides of such a device, though it's pretty easy to hack a heatsink inside of there. Let me tell you that there are just 4 screws you have to remove on the bottom, then another 4 screws that hold the mainboard in place. After you remove them, flip the motherboard around, peel off the foil and glue your heatsink on the SoC. It's really not hard to do, but well, still not everyone wants to do it. Yet at $120 we are still a lot cheaper than other Windows-based TV boxes or mini PCs, and thus I think I can still give you a full purchase recommendation. And well, I'll be honest with you, even if you don't hack a heatsink inside of there, you will still be able to use the Pipo X7S. You will just notice a little more sluggish performance during internet browsing and such stuff. Or during gaming, the performance will suddenly go down once it heats up. But you won't get any hardware issues or units that die or sudden death or something. That's obviously not the case. So I hope you enjoyed this little review, and I gave you all the information you need about the Pipo X7S. If there is anything left you wanna ask or you wanna know, write it below the video into the comments. They are always open for you. I will try to reply to you as soon as possible. So thanks for watching this video. If you like what we are doing at GizChina and GizChina Germany, make sure to follow us on our social media profiles, not only here on YouTube, but on Facebook, Twitter and Google Plus as well. Thanks again for watching. Bye, over and out.